Welcome to For Real Watchers Radio Show, worldwide live, with the best experts as guests. With your host, Jerry Dean, and your co-host, Brett Warner. Expect bone-chilling and heart-pounding stories of paranormal, ufology, supernatural stories, and breathtaking encounter after encounter. Join us as we dive into the abyss of the unknown every Friday night, 8 p.m. Central and 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the best paranormal network, Paranormal King Network. Dead between your eyes, pulling no punches. We'll see you on the other side. Be prepared for anything. Weak hearts dare not enter.
Man, how time flies. It's that time again, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of For Real Watchers Radio Show. I'm your host, Jerry Dean, and my brother from another mother.
I'm Brett, and I want to thank everybody tonight for stopping by for another segment of For Real Watchers Radio, coming at you live every Friday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Paranormal King Network. But guys and gals, we have a special guest tonight with us. The section director of Marin and Sonoma MUFON in California. She's a UFO conference producer. She also runs a nonprofit organization which produces UFOCon held in the San Francisco Bay Area. If that's not enough, I know she's involved in live radio hosts of the Fenton Perspective as well as the Fenton Files. I want to introduce Miss Lorien Fenton to our show tonight. Lorien, you there?
I'm here. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, it's great to have you back.
Yeah, Dean, God, it's been forever, hasn't it? Gosh, we've been through a lot together. And it was, 6 years ago? 7 years ago?
It has been, hasn't it? But
I've heard some of them stories out at your conference out there. I've heard a few of them stories. Fill us in.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Well, I guess that's why we're on the show tonight, you guys, so I can tell you all my crazy life craziness. So that's about it. You know, how else can I even describe the insanity of my life? I mean, no one would believe it. You know, I don't even know where to begin. So where would you guys like to begin? You want me to tell you what I do right now? I'm a bookkeeper. I'm I'm a graphic design. I'm an award-winning graphic designer, but I don't do that much anymore. That's kind of a side thing I do just for myself and a few of my clients. And I'm a web designer. That's what I do mostly now is web designing. If anybody wants to pay me for something, I will gladly build them a beautiful website. And see, what else do I do? Oh, yeah, I'm starting 3 TV networks. I'll tell you guys a quick story.
Okay.
About 2016, I came up with an idea for a TV show, and I was going to pitch it to Gaia TV. I was at a conference, and another television company producer walked by my radio table where I was talking to everybody and interviewing them, and he heard me overheard me talking to somebody and came up to me and said, "My name's so and so. And I heard you talking about what you're going to pitch to Gaia. Here's, let me show you something." So he showed me on his phone his TV studio, and it was amazing. I mean, it was just absolutely stunning. It was in Los Angeles, and he was working out of there at the time. And he started talking to me, and this woman walks up and goes, "Lorien." I go, "Oh, hi." And she goes, "So good to see you again." It turns out she was a mother of a daughter that was in Hollywood that got totally mind controlled through a bunch of sex and rave and music industry, demonic, all kinds of weird stuff. And because she listened to me back in 2011 and 12 on my radio shows, she found out about the MyLabs, the mind control, and all the things they're doing to people. And she sat down, and her daughter was in at that time a a facility, and she wrote a book about her experiences. And I met her at Conscious Like Expo about a year before this guy walks up to shake my hands. Turns out she's his girlfriend. And I was like, oh, how cool is this? So I thought this would be a great experience. He says, I'll produce your show. And we shook hands, and that was that. The next thing I know, I'm producing a show. Now, I've done production before for television, just at studios at colleges and places like that. I was in radio a little bit way back in the day. And you got to remember, I'm 63. At the time, I was like 55. So that this all went down. So let's see what happened then. Okay, so next thing I know, I'm producing this show. I'm getting the guest. We're all flying in from different parts of the country. We're spending a lot of money taking time off work. We're doing weekend after weekend. We filmed 14 episodes. I'm in communication with the guests. I'm paying for somebody's flights here and there and blah, 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 the whole 9 yards. And the next thing I know, gets time to put them up and, do our thing so we can all start getting paid back a little bit, if we put them up somewhere like on Amazon or, wherever we're going to put them up. And guy stiffed us.
Oh, no.
So that was the end of that. He, it was a really bad experience for me because I was going through a lot at the time, which we may talk about later or not. But anyhow, I just said, you know what? I've had it. I'm never doing TV again. I'm not going to answer the phone if there's a TV production company calling me to get somebody on their show, because for years, you guys, you wouldn't believe it. For years, my phone rings off the hook like once a week. Some TV production companies heard about me. They call me and they go, well, we want to interview you to be on a show. And then I interview and they love me, but then they find out I'm 63 years old and I'm overweight. And then they just go, oh, can you get us some young people? And I'm thinking,
oh, that's discrimination.
Oh, it is discrimination, Dean. I'm telling you. And these guys, I've had it with them too. So I just, I'm done with all this. Then COVID. Now, here's the cool part. Back in December, I had another download from I call them angels. I've never really had alien experiences, but I've had plenty of white light beings, beautiful women coming through my wall. I mean, I should have been a guy. What happened? I get these beautiful women. Why didn't I get the hot guy? That's why I keep asking him, where's the hot guy in all this? I always get these women,
That's interesting too, because how do we know they're not extraterrestrial?
Well, they are. They absolutely are. That's the name of if I ever get the book out, it's called Angels Are Aliens Too. And because I'm tired of being discriminated against in the UFO community because I don't have Gray's bobbleheads running around my house, taking ovum and making babies, right?
Okay.
I've never had that experience. And we'll talk about that a little later too. So anyhow, back to what happened. December, I get this download like, well, we told you were going to be in radio. Well, now you're really going to be in TV. And I said, no, you told me that 6 years ago and it didn't work out. And they said, well, it's going to work out now. And I'm like, no, I don't want anything to do with this. I thought for sure it was going to be just a disaster. And I was like, no, I'm never doing this, right? I'm just like screaming, no. That scene in, I don't know what scene. Oh, yeah, Gone with the Wind, where she's screaming, I will never be hungry again. There I am. And I will never do television again. So, okay. So now it's like February, the end of February, and I do my conference, and it's like a stronger impulse in me that something's very wrong. This COVID thing's starting to show up. And also in that download that they gave me, they said you will never produce conferences the same way again, or at least not for a long time. That's basically what they told me. And this is December, before I know anything, right, about COVID. I don't even know what that is, right? So I'm there, I'm producing the conference, and it's becoming apparent that something's wrong with everybody. Well, it turns out I had COVID during the whole conference. That's another whole story. But anyhow, I get home from that whole event and I'm just, then everything shuts down and I'm sitting here just what I'm going to do with, I'm a conference producer and I can't produce a conference, right? And I thought,
Right.
well, maybe I should get back into TV, but it's too expensive. I don't know how to do it. It's a big problem, blah, blah, blah. I have to buy all this equipment, yee. And the next thing I know, about a month later, I'm sitting here and I get this weird email. And I swear to you guys, I have no idea how this email found me. I really don't. When I called the guys, I said, did you send out a mass emailing to a bunch of people somehow that you don't know? And they go, not that we know of. We're only, people find us and then they ask for a request for proposal kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I never did a search for you. I don't even know how this email got in here. So I get this email and it says, we're having a big special. Instead of $3,000 for a channel, you can buy them for like $500 or $600 each. So I'm thinking, buy a channel? What the hell are they talking about? So I look into this whole thing, and it's internet television. I can go on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, what have you, blah, blah, blah. And I think, oh, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want to do. So I started investigating all the other channels out there that I want to look like and feel like. And have you guys ever run across Glenn Beck's The Blaze TV?
Oh, yeah.
I'm familiar with Glenn Beck. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So Glenn has this amazing network that he built, and the sets are gorgeous. Of course, they're in Texas and everything's cheap and they can afford to do it, right? But I mean, it's beautiful, and they've got all these shows on the network, and I'm thinking, hey, I can do that. I can build a network like this. So that's what I'm doing, guys. I bought 11 channels. I took my life savings and bought 11 channels. They gave me a tiny bit of a discount. So I'm starting Make Contact TV. And it's going to be, for the first 6 months, it'll be all my, not all of them, but a great majority of my back UFO conferences. I've got at least one or two a year from all these years. And it's going to be wonderful. And then I'm going to start programming for the network. I'm building a set in an office suite right now for my show. And we're going to do different backdrops for other people's shows that we're going to be bringing in. So we're going to have, made for network programming work. And I'm starting JFK TV. And I've got a hold of all my JFK buddies, because as we'll talk about later in the show also, probably I'm very connected with the JFK community, having produced events for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's where I cut my teeth, is in JFK. So I'm putting on Assassination Murder Con, and that'll be one of the first ones going up on that network. And I've got 3 other producers, all of their work for 20 years. That'll probably be up there. So JFK TV is going to be huge. And then we're also going to do Conspiracy Truth TV. So I've got people looking into seeing if they want to do their shows on there as well. So eventually this will all happen. It's going to take a while, because we're just starting out building one little set for me and getting all my stuff up on the network and seeing how it works. And then after we do that, then we'll recreate it, and there'll be so many cool TV networks up there. And I don't call them, they're not really TV, they're Roku internet TV, but everybody's got it now. I mean, it's amazing how many millions of people have a Roku or smart TV in their house.
Yeah, I know I have one now. What will the content be? I mean, more of like a talk show?
Well, Make Contact TV, my first one out of the gate, is going to be all my old conferences slowly dripping in over about a year and a half. Okay. And there's 15 to 20 speakers per conference. You're going to get, 8 or 10 speakers every month or so, and that you get to watch. So that's 8 hours of programming or so a month. And then on top of that, you're going to see my made for the show TV show, which is going to be probably once a week after we get going. It may be once a month for the first couple months, but then it'll be once a week. And it'll be recorded, then put up on a certain day and certain time, so you can watch it that week, all week.
It'll be like the talk show, you mean, or?
Yeah, it's going to be called the Fenton Interviews, and I'm going to be interviewing people that I've known in the community for ages and ages. I'm going to try to get to the older people first, because they're dying off, and I'm worried that I may never get those interviews again, Like I'm worried about Clifford Stone right now. He's not, he's okay, but he's not doing well. And my good buddy Lynn Buchanan, his wife recently passed, so I'm worried about him. And I've got my buddy Tron, who's been in the business with working for the Department of Defense for many, many years, and he's not well. And it's just everywhere I turn, it seems that the older people that have helped me through the last decade and a half that I've met along the way are all up in their 70s. And they've all been really supportive of me, and they've told me the truth about many things that have happened. Unlike all these, and I hate to say this, you guys, I'm going to use this guy for an example, and you guys are probably going to be mad at me, but I got to do it. There's this guy that wore the bullhorns that sat in the desk during
I saw that.
The supposed siege of the siege with the cell phones.
You mean the insurrection?
Cell phone siege, yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was laughing so hard because people don't remember this, and thank God Tina reminded me. My producer at my other network, she goes, "Don't you remember 1968 when the Black Panthers, 24 of them, walked onto the floor of the Congress with guns, and shotguns?"
Yep.
I'm like, everybody else has seemed to have forgotten that, and it wasn't an insurrection, and they just walked in, made their demands, and basically left. But I mean, I'm like, what the hell? We were armed with cell phones. Give me a break.
Yeah, there's a little more to it now, though. Yeah, we know.
So you said said your friend Tina. You talking about Tina Marie?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, restricted airspace.
You bet. Yeah, her show's starting again in a couple of weeks, or next week, I think it is. I'm going to be listening. It'll be great. Anyhow.
That's good.
Yeah. So what I wanted to tell you about this dude, I'm sitting here right after this insurrection of the cell phones. I start getting just tons of emails. You guys, I don't understand. It's like I'm the director of MUFON or some crazy thing, or I'm like the one in charge of Contact in the Desert, or I'm whatever. I don't know. Everybody seems to think that I'm in charge of everything that happens. Okay, don't ask me why. They just all email me when anything happens, and they're all shoving this content at me, right? So thank God I don't have to do any searches anymore, because I wake up and if one little person breathes the wrong way in the UFO community, my inbox is full. Okay. Wow. So it's like, it's insanity. So I'm sitting here looking at this, and then someone says, this is the guy that did that rant back in April, and he was wearing a red band or a headband of the American flag and called himself Mr. America or something. And so I'm looking at this thing and I go, oh my God, he's another wannabe super soldier. What a nightmare. I mean, I'm so over all these wannabes,
Mm-hmm.
If they were really doing what they say they're doing, they would never tell you about it. And that's the one thing I want to make really abundantly clear on you guys' show tonight, is that I've been doing this a long time. I know people that are way deep into this. I mean, things you wouldn't even believe. And I know what goes on with the Super Soldier program. I know what goes on with the mind control program. I have produced the conferences that have rattled their chains and really got to pay attention, not because the people on my stage were 50% were shams and 50%, and now I know that, but I didn't know it at the time, and 50% were legit people who had some amazing, crazy things happen to them through these guys.
Right.
So the problem was I started rattling their chain because they finally realized, oh, somebody's paying attention to what we're doing. And those 50% that weren't quite all there, they were kind of nutso when they got on the stage and were kind of crazy. Turns out that probably 40% of them were telling the truth, and they were made to think all these crazy things so that people would never take them seriously. And I believe that is what scared them the most about my conferences, was that I was actually putting people up on a stage that nobody else ever would, and they were being taken seriously. Now, not that all they said was the truth, because I'm ever since I did all that, now, as you guys probably know, I did the 2012, 13, and 14 Mind Control Super Soldier Targeted Individual Conferences. And by 2013, they did a mass MyLabs abduction on us at the conference. And I've been blamed for that, but I keep telling everybody, no, I'm not taking the heat for this, and I'll tell you why. Because if you weren't somebody who was being bothered by these people in the first place, they would never have shown up. You know, it's that simple. So don't blame me for them showing up. I happened to make it easy for them because I got everybody in one building. So that is one of the reasons I never did it again.
Yeah, backing up.
Well, that kind of reminds me.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of a story. When I did my conference in 2014, and you and a bunch of other heavy hitters, we had all that talent and all that knowledge under one roof. You remember that? You can tell everybody what happened?
Oh my
God. Y'all ready for a story?
Oh my God. Yeah. Do you guys have breaks?
Well, no, I don't think so.
Nope.
Okay.
We're gonna let you have the whole hour, sweetheart.
Yeah, you got the hour. It's on you.
Okay, I was just going to say, if we're getting a break, we better not do this yet. Okay, so it's 2014, and Dean and I meet each other through Joanne Richards, because Joanne tells Dean, you got to have Lorien at your conference. She's super cool. And so Dean very graciously adds me to his list of speakers, and it's at the, where was it at? The
Alexis.
The what now?
The Alexis Resort.
That's
right. Across from Hard Rock Cafe.
Exactly. Resort. Yes. And it was a nice place. And I get there, I drove all the way down, and my friend Joanne Richards was there as well speaking. She flew.
Oh, yeah.
And also Misha Johnston, who is also one of my good friends for a long time, is there speaking.
Isn't that amazing? Those two people were our last two guests we've had on this show.
Of course.
Both
I told you I was going to bring the best on.
Yep.
So
I think you're going to start a show. You start a show off, and you're going to be real about it. You bring the best of the best, and I literally have brought the best of the best thus far. I mean, y'all were at the conference, so we know who we got on our show. Everybody that knows them conferences, they know who you are. Everybody makes, not my conference only. I'm talking about all the conferences you make. We got the best of the best. I will go ahead, tell the story. It is crazy.
I appreciate it. But anyhow, so we're all there and everything's great. And I get this great suite. It's really cute. It's got a little bathroom, a little kitchen, and a bed. And I'm all snug as a bug in there. And Friday night, I think Joanna and Misha and I all went out to dinner. We had a good time. And then Saturday rolls around, and I'm supposed to speak, I think at 1:30, if I remember correctly. My phone rings about 11:30. And luckily enough, I'd gotten up early enough, and I was all ready kind of to go. And it's Dean, I think, and he says, can you come down here now and speak? Or was Joanne or Misha? I don't remember. Somebody says, somebody didn't show up. Can you do the noon slot? And I said, sure. So I roll on in. I sit at my little table. We're all in there, and I'm listening to the speaker. The next thing I know, it's my turn. I get up, and I'm speaking, and oh no, I got through my whole presentation. It was great.
Yeah,
and it was, I talked about the angels that have come to me and the stories of my life and some fun stuff, very positive and fun things. I decided not to go into the dark stuff that day. I was just not feeling it, you know? And
we had a lot of dark stuff anyway.
Yes, exactly. I finished my presentation, and 5 minutes later, the guys that were making the movie get up on the stage during my time slot, and they start speaking, and the room starts filling with smoke and smells like an electrical fire. And they evacuated us, and everybody's getting their stuff because we could smell it and we could see the smoke. So we knew it was a real fire. It wasn't a fake someone pulled the alarm type of fire. This was real. So we all got out of there, and we stood around outside for the longest time, and Dean's running around going, what now? What now? And what happened then? And I'll continue the story about what happened to me after, but what happened when the fire started?
Well, remember, it came over the intercom. You need to vacate the building. Everybody's like looking at each other. Oh, this has got to be a part of the conference. You know, Jerry Dean put on a hoax or something. No, I'm looking at everybody go. We got to go. We got to go. Everybody, get all these chairs and get everybody out. And everybody's collecting, like you said, collecting all their things. And I don't even know what's going on except for we're being told that this ain't a game. Y'all got, it's time to vacate right now. This is not a test. Go. And everybody's scrambling. We were pretty orderly about getting out, but then we sat out there. The fire department showed up. There was even police there, the manager of the hotel came out there of the resort, and he was talking to us. Well, we'll need you guys to stay out here for a while. And we stood out there for, oh, good Lord, it was about an hour at least.
Yeah.
Wasn't it about an hour?
Yeah.
And then we just waiting to get back in, because some people throw that stuff in there. And me and my nephew, they blaze of glory, go back in there, grab some people's stuff, and bring it back. And I'm like, wait a minute, there ain't even a fire in here. But it turns out it was in another section of the building next to us.
Right. It was on the other side of the partition wall there, on the back of the stage, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Wow,
that
must have
was
been
there.
That
do you remember who else was there at that moment of time?
No, I don't. But all I remembered thinking was, if that thing was set to go off at a certain time, it would have gone off right when I was speaking. That's all I remember. Right. I was pissed, and I was thankful also that you guys called me and asked me to come speak earlier. Because that way I got to speak. So I thought that was very interesting. So did Misha and so did Joanne. They said, "What have you done lately to piss them off?" I said, "Well, you know what I've done. I produced 3 mind control conferences that you guys all spoke at." And they're like, "Oh yeah, that." So we were laughing. And then finally, I think, Dean, I pray to God that you got your money back, from that. I'm not going to go into it here on air, but you should have. So anyhow.
No, I didn't. I fought them a little bit. They wouldn't do it, but that's all right. It was a great experience. It was fun, and it was very enlightening. I ain't worried about it. I lost a little bit of money on the, as far as renting the building and everything, but I ain't worried about it. Like I said, it was an experience. It was fun. We had Brian Purdy there from Paracon, his wife and his son David, and who else? Trisha Kirk. That was the movie Abductee.
Yes.
They were the ones they showed up a little bit late, and I was like, okay, we need to get somebody up there. That's when I give you a holler. Can you fill in? And thank God, because otherwise that would have went off on your turn.
That's right.
And you would have never got to talk.
Well, yeah, that was the problem. That was where everybody started. It wasn't until about 3 hours later they're all looking at me going, "It's your fault." I go, "It's not my fault. Don't blame me again. I'm always getting blamed for stuff, right?" So anyhow, that night everything was great, and Misha and Joanne and I again hung out, had a great time. I got back to my room pretty late. I went to bed. The next morning, I'm getting up. Now, Joanne was going to meet me at 12 noon for breakfast, brunch, lunch, whatever. She was flying out, and I was going to take off driving. And I think checkout was noon, too. So I'm getting ready, and I, get ready to jump in the shower. And this is where it gets weird, folks. You don't have to believe me. I don't care if you do or you don't, okay? Because I know what happened. I'm getting into the shower and I'm standing right by it. I don't remember if you know this, but there's big tubs there. They're kind of, I call them the orgy tubs. You can get like 4 people in them, know.
And, nice sweets. They were very nice sweets.
Yeah, they were nice. And I still have pictures of it, by the way. And the tub's pretty big. And I'm reaching over, and it isn't that far. It's not that far at all. I'm reaching over to turn the water on. And I felt 2 hands on my back shove me into the shower as my head was down. I felt it on my middle of my back, and it pushed me into the tub. And I went flying into the tub. Now, in that tub, it was about, I'd say 4 feet wide at least, maybe a little wider. And it had an edge of tile over on the other side where if I'd hit the bridge of my nose or anywhere on my head, I would have had a bad injury. But I twisted in midair and hit my shoulder, and I broke my arm, and a big chunk of bone came out of my shoulder blade on the top. Mm-hmm. I laid in the tub for a half an hour in so much pain. There's no way to describe it. I got up and thought, oh, I have a dislocated shoulder. I'll just finish my shower and get dressed and pack and go to the hospital, right? And Joanne can take me. So we do all that, and I'm in so much pain. I can't even believe I lived through this. And I get to the hospital, and they dope me up with Demerol. I mean, like to the point where I'm sky high, right? And I'm finally feeling good again. And the guy he goes, I got to take an x-ray to figure out how to put it back in. And so he comes in, he goes, oh my God, your arm is broken. It's broken in 2 places and all this. And I'm like, really? So now this bothered me, but I thought maybe I was imagining the push. Maybe I was, maybe my back spasmed. I'm trying to talk myself out of this for 4 years, okay? Literally, no, not 4 years, 2 years. And then the day happens that I'm interviewing Robert Guffey about his book, Camillio. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about it, but if you haven't, you need to interview him and get him on your show, because in this book, it talks about an invisibility cloak that the Department of Defense has created and how they are using it against targeted individuals to go in their house and terrorize them when they can't be seen.
Well, not to interrupt you, but do you remember after everybody started to fade out after we were out there, it was hot, remember? And you guys went back. We went ahead and went to the lounge area. I said, they let everybody back in the building. They wouldn't let us back in our conference area. That was weird because we were going to carry on the conference. I mean, a lot of people came from a lot of miles. And so we went ahead and went over to the lounge area where the bar was at and all that. And we sat there. I had a few drinks. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, oh man, this can't be happening. So a lot of us had a few drinks. I don't think we got drunk. We were just sitting there socializing.
You have become an official conference producer, because when you get to the point where everything falls apart and you go to the bar and have a couple drinks, that's the reality of conference producing. Okay, that's
bingo.
Your stripes now, because
that's what happened is
everything's falling apart. I can't do anything about it. Oh well, where's the bar?
Well, you know what happened is when that happened to you, my phone blew up. I had Misha calling me. I had Joanne Richards calling me. Even Tina Marie called me. I had a few others that were calling me. Do you know what happened? I'm like, what happened? She had a fall. I'm like, what do you mean she had a fall? She got pushed. She got pushed by what? We don't know. I'm like, oh my God. But what happened? But we had other people a lot of people were reporting while they were sitting in their chairs just before the alarm went off that they got pushed from behind. And I remember standing in the back of the room because I was overseeing it. It was my conference. So I'm overseeing it. This is going good. I'm loving it. It's great. Everybody's just into it. And I could see people just kind of come up in their chairs a little bit. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It was a pattern you could see right down a row. I watched it when one aisle, not down the aisle, the middle aisle, but down the center seat from the aisle, all in the middle of the whole chairs on the right side. I just see one after another getting nudging forward. Like, what are people jumping about? And then when we got to the lounge, I finally figured that out. Everybody's like, did you feel that? I'm like, I feel what? I got pushed. And I turned around. And that one just it. When they did get pushed, they lunged forward, their heads spun. I thought they were looking at me like, what have you done wrong, Jared? You're about to get, about to get stoned. But people got pushed. So when I heard the story, you got pushed. I'm like, oh my God.
Jerry, this is the first
And maybe that fire wasn't an accident, sweetheart, because we were getting hot and heavy that day.
This is the first time I heard about this. I had no idea.
Yes, I told you that when I got back from Texas, when you got on my show when I was with the New Network. Because I was with WCJ Mars, and then Ross took me in, and I love this home. By the way, guys, Paranormal King Networks is the network of, paranormal. Awesome. But no, I mean, I remember talking to you, and it was me and Kat at the time was my next co-host. But we talked about it briefly, but it was almost like even then, I remember that's the day we were on Skype. And everything started gargling, and even Ross was, and we went dead.
I remember
and
that.
All of a sudden, Ross just hit me up on the headset going, we just went dead. And I'm like, well, what happened? He goes, I don't know. And it happened with you and me a few times when we've had you on our show where all of a sudden things just start to go kind of weird. I remember when I was with CJ Mars and I had you on there, my computer started to smoke. And I had a computer literally burn up in my studio.
Well, all I can tell you is things are very different now for me, and hopefully you guys are going to get through this show and everything will be fine.
It'll be all right.
Yeah, I wanted to.
I look at it this way. I'm red flag now, too. So,
yeah,
have at us.
I didn't want to interrupt anyone, but we had a quick question here in the chat there, Lorien. Have you ever had a UFO experience?
Oh, yeah. Those are the most benign things that have happened to me in my life.
Well, let's back up just a minute. Go ahead and explain that. And also for our listeners who aren't Go ahead and explain MUFON, if you would.
Oh, sure. Okay, MUFON is the Mutual UFO Network, and they were started in 1969, and they have a very scientific approach to ufology or UFOs or whatever you have it. And for many, many years, they didn't even broach the subject of alien contact. God bless them. And for many years, they had a lot of ex-Department of Defense guys and CIA guys and whatever on their board. So you got their message that they were just trying to control the narrative kind of thing, which was fine. I never had a problem with that. I've been a MUFON member for many, many, many years. And, at least you got information. That's all I can say. And they have a guy named George Filer that puts out Filer's Files every week. I get on his newsletter. He's amazing. He writes for the Journal. He writes about encounters with Air Force pilots and commercial pilots and people on the ground and fishermen and you name it, he writes about it. Anyhow, so MUFON's always been great for me. I've never had a problem with them. I started my own chapter back in 2010. And I've been producing once a month events, and they're up on my website. That is LorienFenton.com. If you go there, if you go to myname.com, you'll find that. And oh, by the way, forget about the security certificate. I keep having trouble with that, and I think it's because of me, who I am. That it'll just go to the advanced settings and say, I accept the risk. Nothing's going to happen to you. I've got my own server. There's no malware in there that I know of, no viruses that I know of. You'll be fine. I mean, I built the site, but for some reason, I cannot get a security certificate to stick to that site. I think that's another targeting towards me. So to keep people from going to my website. So bottom line, just get on in there and you'll find out any information you need to about my shows. And also there's a link to my MUFON Marin and Sonoma.com website where we have all these speakers from the past. Now, just so you guys know, I'm kind of the black sheep of MUFON because I go ahead and I put people, speaking that aren't basically scientific or this or that. I've had a lot of experiencers that have spoken for me over the years. And in the last, I'd say 5 years, MUFON has kind of changed their tune about alien contact. And they now have Kathleen Marden heading up their contactee division, if you want to call it that. And they're really coming around. And I give them a lot of kudos for doing so. They've mishandled a lot of internal things. They've had some problems over the years. But unlike, it's like any other organization, guys, it is what you take from it, and you've got to make it a good thing. And that's what I've done with MUFON. And I love them dearly because they really try hard.
So, yeah, let's get into some good stuff. So what brought you into this, Lorien? I mean, was that a UFO experience or something else? Something else happened in your youth?
Oh my God.
I know a few of the stories.
That'd be the rat poisoning, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's the
where it all
rat
began.
But we're not going to go that far back. Let's go back to 2000 and was it 11 or 12? I think it was 11. Now I can't remember. But I was in Anaheim, California, and I was at the Awake and Aware conference with Carrie Cassidy, who's also a very good friend of mine. And speaking of, I got a text her or something today. God, I keep forgetting. Anyhow,
well, tell her we want her on the show.
Oh yeah, she'd probably do it, you guys. She's amazing. I love Carrie. Awesome. Carrie is one of those people that I love to shake my head at because she does things I would never do, but I love her for it. So anyhow, no, she's quite the character. I'm at her conference, and this is the first time her and I actually got to know each other. We'd known of each other, but now we got to know each other. Okay. So I also had known of Bill Ryan, but this is the first time I got to meet Bill in person. And so anyhow, long story short, I had an extraordinary weekend, and I'm writing a book, and it's, thank God this one's 3/4 done, about just that weekend. I call it The Awakening and my reunion with the super soldiers. And it's quite an amazing story. Like I tell people this, you would never have heard of James Rink, Max Spears, probably James Casbolt would have been around because of Miles, but I really gave him a voice here in America. So because of my conferences. So that was the first time I met all these guys. Now, that Saturday night, and there's so much more to that 72 hours. I mean, it's 72 hours that changed my entire life completely. So it's a wild story. But that Saturday night, we had come back. I was with a woman named Asolaria Liberalis, who is now passed on from a brain tumor, and I miss her greatly. She was an angel contactee as well, and I adored her. Anyhow, long story short, we come back to the Airbnb house in Anaheim that we're staying at, and I walk into the room, and I'm there about 5 minutes. I'm putting on my PJs and brushing my teeth and getting ready for bed. And just as I sat on the edge of the bed, I realized I hadn't answered any emails all day. So I pop open my laptop and put it on a little, I think they put a little table there by the side of the bed. I pulled it over, put the laptop on it, plugged it in. So, this is 10 minutes into being home, right? I mean, I did everything pretty quick. And I pop open the laptop, and in that moment, that second of opening the laptop, I think to myself, and this is another part of the story that I put in the book. 6 months previous to me being in Anaheim, I had a helicopter over the house, about 100 feet over the house, circling the house, that appeared out of nowhere. And Asolaria was on the phone with me when it happened, and she heard the whole thing. And I was talking her through it while it was happening. And that was an extraordinary day, but that's in the book too. And you guys will get to read about that later. So I'm thinking to myself, God, I wonder if Asolaria remembers the day the helicopter was over the house. And I'm thinking that. Now, how long does it take to think that? A fraction of a second? Because I'm not saying it. I'm thinking it. And I'm not thinking it as a sentence. I'm thinking it as an impression of a memory. Okay. The fraction of a second I thought that, the house I'm in my opinion, is being attacked by a helicopter, and it sounds like they are doing the same thing all over again, but they're much lower. And I'm waiting for the house to start shaking. That's how loud this is. Okay. And in that instant, right after that, I get this, what I call my very first real download. I mean, I probably had others before because I'm a very psychic person from the rat poisoning story that Dean knows all about. But this is the first time I ever locked brains with these guys. Okay. And in that instance, I hear it, but I hear it, but I don't hear it. I feel it and I know it. And it's hard to explain to anybody who hasn't had it happen to them. But it's like you're suddenly filled with knowledge. That's the only way I can describe it. And they're telling me, we can see through your eyes. We can think your thoughts for you. We can make you think what we want you to think. We can listen to every thought you have. And it goes on from there. And it's like this whole amazing, like my world is completely blown open. And as soon as it's over, now I think it lasted like 5 minutes, but in reality, it probably only lasted 15 seconds or maybe 30 seconds. But it was that intense. And so I'm freaked out because the helicopter is still dimly up in the air and I know it. I'm not hearing it as much, but I'm freaking out. And I think, okay, I got to go out. I made myself walk to the window. In my presentation, you guys see the room I was actually in because it was an Airbnb room and I have pictures of it. So I captured all the pictures and I show you the window I walked to. So I look out up the window and up in the sky, very low, well, maybe 500 feet up, is a 3 glowing orange balls of deep red light. And I could vaguely see, they're in a triangle formation. I could vaguely see the outline of the craft. Vaguely.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the heck? And then the next thing I know, I'm backing up from the window and I'm thinking to myself, I'm really tired. I'm going to bed. Now, normally, when I see a UFO, guys, you know what I do? I start screaming at the top of my lungs and I'm waking up everybody in the house to come look at it with me, okay? And that's another story for another day because I've done that, okay? So this was weird for me because when I see things, I'm the first to be able to run around and break the spell of what's going on. I'm very strong-minded. So for me to just back up and go, I'm tired, I'm going to sleep. I've had so many friends tell me, you've got to get regressed because I'm sure you were on a ship for some time, you know? And I'm like, no, I don't think I want to know. So thank you very much. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything. I have been through so many things, and I have so many stories and so many crazy stuff happening to me. And this goes on from the time I'm a kid. I mean, this isn't like this is just like, oh, just started happening. No, this has been going on my entire life. And I really don't want to know. And that is what a very wise woman said to me, and I think Dean knows this story. I asked her about something that happened to her one time, and she said to me, Lorien, maybe you don't want to know about all this stuff. Maybe you just don't want to know. And I thought, my God, she freed me in the moment that was that weekend. She totally freed me. If I hadn't had her give me that comment that weekend at that time, I'd be like the rest of the people out there that are running around needing drugs to keep them calmed down, because I'd be in a twirling mental state of what, where, why me, what, where, why me, always asking everybody how to make it stop, how to make it start, how to do this, do that, thinking I'm special, thinking I'm not, you know, whatever. And I'm not like that. You know what I am? I just accept it for what it is. I go about my daily life, and I've learned to compartmentalize everything so that I can function like a normal, human being. And I feel so bad. And here's my goal in life, you guys. My goal in life really is to help people get to that state where they don't have to be overtaken and unempowered by their experiences. I've helped so many people in this way, and thank God, this is what the angel aliens have given me. They've given me the ability to help people get away from that. Now, there's some people I can't help. I've tried to help some people that just won't stop. You know, they'll call me, they'll take 3 hours of my time. They'll say, oh, I really want, I want to change. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then they call me a month later and say, oh, will you help me? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm sorry. And I find out that they've called 20 other people since they called me last looking for the same answers. And the reality is, and I finally stopped doing the long phone calls to people and all that. Now I email them and I say, look, here's 3 steps. First step is stop ruminating about what happened. It doesn't matter. It's not changing anybody's life but your own. Mm-hmm. Take out the pieces that make your life a positive experience from it. And do your best to accept what happened to you. If it was painful or horrific or whatever, meditate on it, go through the pain, forgive the aliens for doing it to you, and move on, because you can't change the past. You can only make the future better for yourself by accepting what's happened.
That is true.
It's that simple.
Well,
yep.
Number 4, write a book or make a movie. Get a clue and get a life.
Yep.
You know what I tell people? I go, just go out and get a regular job and be happy that you can do it, because I've seen so many people's lives destroyed. I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. There's this kid I met through MUFON. He came to me. He'd seen a giant ship over a Jack-in-the-Box in his senior year of high school. It was like he had 2 months to go. And now he's become obsessed by UFOs. He wants to quit quit school and not go to college so he can become a ufologist. I'm like, excuse me, there is no such thing as a ufologist, number 1. Number 2, if you're an experiencer, you've got a lot more problems to deal with than becoming a ufologist. You need to buckle down and forget about it as much as you can, and then start integrating it into your life. But you need to go to college and you need to get an education. and he's reading a book a day on ufology. He's listening to podcasts all day long. He's not going to school. His mother's freaking out. And I'm like, okay. And so finally we got him back in school, and he graduated and enrolled in a community college there. But man, I'm telling you, it took months of getting through to this kid because he got obsessed. Wow. And that's the other part. People get obsessed. And they've got to learn that that's what the aliens want you to do. They've become your overseers. That's a great way to say it. Kind of like out of Arthur C. Clarke's Childhood's End. They become your overseer, and you do have another overseer, and that is God. And there are angels that work for God that are aliens too. There's many different levels of aliens. So if you're being used by the reptilians or the grays or what have you, and you're in a tizzy, just remember, you can tell them to leave you the hell alone, if I can say that on your show.
You're fine.
And they have to go away. I mean, you have dominion over this reality. And that's what God gave you. That's your God-given right as a contactee. I'm telling you, he's told me, God, I've touched the face of God when I went into the place of love and light, which is another story for another day. But I'm telling you, that's what he told me. He goes, you don't have to deal with these guys. You can deal with me directly and my angels and the ascended masters and all the good people out there, because that's where your consciousness wants to go. You don't want to be trapped by these evil entities, these archons, these devils, these demons, these grays, these reptilians. I mean, there's all levels of them, right? So
that's interesting you would say that, because honestly, I've talked about this for a long time. You just hit the nail on the head. Everybody needs to, everything is intertwined. Everything's connected. So when you take angels, a lot of people say, well, angels are not extraterrestrial. Well, extraterrestrial is light. God's a God of light. These things we see are light. So why couldn't they be angels? And then you look at what you see biblically, what's been written about celestial. I mean, it's in the Bible. But you also look at demons. Okay, so you got grays. I mean, these are reptilians. Well, the devil, the serpent. Doesn't it all intertwine? I mean, ain't that what we're all saying here? It's pretty interesting. So if we all look at it, biblical actually goes along with this.
That is absolutely true. Yep. So I've talked enough. Are you guys going to talk?
Yeah. Well, we're good letting you go. You know what, though? I'm going to be honest. Well, you talked about the JFK thing. Now, that's really interesting. And I've seen that video you did when you had them all right there at the theater, I think it was. And Lynn was there, I believe, the man. Yeah, he was the first one in line that you interviewed. There was a circle of people right there, and you were waiting on some other people to get there. But you did an interview. Now that was that for a movie, or is that for, what was that for, huh?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
JFK.
JFK. I'm totally confused because I've done so many things with JFK. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about John Barber's interview for my online conference that I held in Los Angeles?
I think it was San Pedro, or oh, good Lord. It was in the theater. You could see people coming and going. But there was a circle of people. There was an old man, and I believe he called him Lynn, with a tie on. But it was about JFK.
Yeah,
and then there was another guy.
Barber. Yeah, John Barber was premiering his movie for my conference. I had an online conference in 2017 for the 50th anniversary, or 55th. I can't remember right now. God, you guys, I'm getting old and I hate this when I can't remember, but I've done so many things. I'm one of these people who can't sit still. I'm out for the truth, and every day of an opportunity presents itself, I'm there for it, right?
I love it.
Oh yeah.
And so I do believe that was John Barber, and you guys, you've got to watch his movie. It's called the JFK Assassination, and the media. God, where is it? I can't find it right now. And the media. If you go to JFK Birthday.com. You guys, I'm going to have to look it up. I think it's JFK Birthday or JFK100birthday.com. Just look up that conference, and it's got everything on there about John Barber's movie and all the people I interviewed. And I believe it's still for sale up there. I mean, if you wanted to watch it, I think it's only like $30. Roger Stone spoke for me at that event. James Fetzer, Judith Very Baker. I mean, it's one of the top, people come to me today and they go, I just discovered your birthday conference for JFK. Oh my God. It's one of those things. And it's like I never really promoted it, and so when people stumble on it, they're just blown away. I had
That was me. I stumbled on it.
you stumbled on it, yeah. I mean, it was a really amazing event.
Yeah, there's one thing I learned tonight, Jerry Dean. Yeah, Lorien, we may have to bring her back. I know we haven't even hit the tip of the iceberg with this. I mean, so much experience. Well, we're only down to an hour.
I mean, honest to God, it's like that with all these ladies we've had on. These beautiful ladies are so intelligent, so many, not only so many different areas, but they got so much experience, so much knowledge. You can't do it all. I don't care if we had a 2-hour show like I used to have. It would not do it justice. You got to keep bringing them back. And Lord, we would like to have you as a regular, if that's okay. If you could find the time, it ain't gonna be like every week, but Misha, we said the same thing. Joanne, you remember Dawn Short? She was at the conference too. She's gonna be a regular. Yeah. I told you we had 4 heavy hitters there.
Pop in every few months. That would be fine with me. I have no problem with that. We'll pick one topic though, and we'll go with that for an hour, because I got so many stories and so many topics and things. We could just, focus on one, like we kind of did your conference tonight.
Yeah, I want to focus on one called the car trolls. So yeah. Yeah, she knows what I'm talking about.
What do you know about my car trolls?
Hey, I know a lot. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it hanging there. So
to be continued. Y'all sit at the same bat time, same bat channel.
I know the car troll, and I know the black bunny rabbit. Oh yeah, but
yes.
But yeah, for another time.
Yes, for another time. We'll start at the beginning of my life at some point. It'll take us about 500 years to get through it, but we'll make it eventually. Well, thank you guys for having me on. Do we have a few minutes left?
Yeah, we sure do. Jerry Dean, close us up here. Absolutely.
Well, I just
a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you guys really want to get more information, go to LorienFenton.com. Those are my 2 radio shows. And look up the JFK 100th Birthday Conference online. I think that's how the Google spiders grabbed it. It was because it was online. Because trust me, there's a million other JFK things for that 100th birthday thing. So find that, go to it, because I'm telling you, that was probably one of my best conferences as far as content and people speaking, and John Barber's movie being associated with it. Oh, and don't forget William Madsen Law. He was interviewed in that. And William interviewed all of the guys working at Bethesda Hospital the night of the autopsy.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, got them all in a room before they died down in Florida, and interviewed them all together. And most of them hadn't seen each other for 50 years at that, 40 years at the time or whatever. So it was quite an amazing, and he puts the DVD of his interview in his book. So you guys have got to pay attention to that. It's mind-boggling if you're a JFK person.
We'd like to get him on here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Love to be with you. He's amazing. I love this man. Yeah, he's fantastic. Oh, you guys have got to get Christopher Fulton. The book is called The Inheritance, all about him and how he got railroaded, and he's a whistleblower, and he had the watch that JFK was assassinated in. And he gave it to John Jr., and then John Jr. was murdered 2 weeks later in that plane. And that's a whole story I know all about. You guys got to get him on. You got to get Damon Isle on. He was there when the plane exploded. I mean, it's the stories. Oh, my God. You guys wouldn't believe. Anyhow.
We could do a whole month dedicated to JFK on that right there alone.
Yeah. You should take November and do that, because that's the month that everybody's on everybody's radio show talking about it as usual.
Okay.
Well, that'd be cool.
Definitely a plan.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lorien, it's been a pleasure once again, as always. Great reunion.
Yeah, Dean, I was so happy it was you.
I couldn't believe you. Wait a minute, I know you. Well, come on now, I've been hitting you up the last couple of weeks. It's me. I know I've changed a little bit. I got a big old beard mustache thing going on now. Nice clean baby face I used to do, but it's so great to hear from you again. We've got to have you back.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. And Brett, thank you so much.
Hey, it was a pleasure having you. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing from you again. I'll definitely stay in touch with you.
Yeah, please do. Okay, guys. Thanks so much.
All
Well,
right.
once again, thank you so much. Brett, before we wrap it up, you want to tell them about our network. And by the way, we'd like to have you, if you want to contemplate it, if you got time, we're inviting Beach to have her own show on our network. We'd like to have you another platform that you could be on our network, because we've done basically doing the same thing you're doing. But we're not just paranormal ufology, we're spiritualists. We get into religion, we get into demons, we get into politics, we get into conspiracy, we get into all from A to Z when it comes to life. Above,
Let's
supernatural
talk
and natural.
after the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
Sounds good.
called American Alert Guardians. You can find us on Facebook as well as YouTube. And like Jerry Dean said here, we're kind of, I don't know, how do you explain it? We're not that old, but we're not that new. It's expanding more and more every day. These archives from this show will be on there probably tomorrow or Sunday.
American Alert Guardian Networks.
American Alert Guardians Network. And
we have
constantly
AAG News on there. What else we have on there, brother?
The Sentinel Report, and like I said, the archives from this show, and like I said, we're still growing. We're getting a few more on, having their own shows on it. So, and it's free. It's good information, for sure.
What a dang good platform.
Oh yeah, and
we'll talk about it, Lorraine. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got it. No problem. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All
right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in for Real Watchers Radio Show. This is Jerry Dean, your host, and the other host, my brother.
Yeah, I'm Brett. And keep in mind, everybody, we're here live every Friday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Paranormal King Radio Network. Want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And that's all I have for you. I'll hopefully see you next week.
And another thank you to Ross, our beautiful man that gets us live every week at For Real Paranormal King. Ross, thank you, brother, as you're listening. We thank all you out there on his network, too. Your shows are amazing. Keep up the good work. We're all in this together. God bless America. God bless this planet. Keep trying. Keep your heads up and keep the faith. Till next time, I'm Jerry Dean.
And I'm Brett. Good night, everybody.
Good night. God bless.